So day one, isn't it? Day one in our Zero to Hero of Data Analytics Challenge, or series, isn't it, really? Now we're going to start looking at how we start to open up our Power BI. What do we need to do? The first thing we need to remember is the two things from last week, dimensions and facts. Without those two, you're going to struggle with a lot of Power BI, because what this all comes down to time and again is getting good data models in that are going to be performant and allow you to get the most out of your data, and then from your data derive insight and information that's going to support and drive your business. Alright everyone, welcome along. Training Tuesday, day one. Okay, I'm just starting out in Power BI. What do I need to do? How can I get started? Let's jump on over into Power BI desktop and do a quick little demo on how we start. Alright, here we are, Power BI desktop. Okay, oh, it's a bit of a depressing screen, right? Honestly, it's great they've now added some stuff in here. When I first started Power BI, just a white screen. What do I need to do? Right, we're going to start with get data. Okay, click get data. I'm going to say, in this case, it's going to be a CSV file. I'm going to pick a CSV file. I'm going to pick this one, the 5,000 sales records. Same one we used last week, just a little bit of a sample. Nothing special about it. And I'm just going to click to load the data. Dead easy, isn't it? Why would I not do this? So I've chosen to load the data. Power BI is going to read that in. And now I need, we can see we've got that. Okay, so I've got my data read in. Okay, and one of the things I can do is I can say, oh, well, I want to see kind of some information about sales by over time. So I'll pick order date and I'm going to pick in total costs. Okay, well, that doesn't look right, does it? Okay, so straight away, we've come up with issue one around your data modeling, right? And this is to do with columns. So in the case of this, if we go and we click here, and we have a look at the data, have a zoom in on the data, you'll see, right, ship date there, right, those are dates, like, they're dates, right? But if we highlight them, so let's highlight order date, we can see the data type is down as text. Okay, so what we need to do is change that to date. Say, make that change. Okay, and on ship date, let's do the same as well. So we've made both of those dates, and I can see their dates because they've now got a little date thing here next to them, haven't they? Little calendar kind of thing, right? So I know these are dates. I'm dead good. I can do the dates, right? So let's scan back to our table or to our little chart here, right? Tell you what, let's delete that and let's try that again, shall we? So this time, I'm going to pick the order date. I'm going to pick the total cost, right? And let's make that a chart, some type, yeah? Fantastic. That looks much better, doesn't it? Okay, we've got dates. It's all looking good. What more could I want? Okay, so we've got the sales by year, haven't we? Brilliant. Okay, so let's do the same, but this time we want to do like the shipped. So what's being shipped? And the total cost of what's being shipped. And again, we'll do that. Make like that. Brilliant, fantastic. Shipped stuff by year. Hang on. We've used total cost for both of those, haven't we? Right? And yet, they look very different. Now, the very different is because they're using different dates. But, this is where the problem starts, right? The way this is built, this is why we start to talk about dimensions, it's not using the same dates, is it? It's using the dates around one thing. And what you typically would like to be able to see, because what we'd want to be able to put is to combine these two into a single chart. Okay? So what do we mean by all that? What's going on? What am I talking about? Okay. So what we mean, as we start to get into this, is kind of what is modeling for? Why do we do it? And I've kind of shown you here, like straight away, one of the jarring things that you'll see as we start to talk about facts and dimensions is that your dimensions are something that you're going to aggregate by. Okay, so in our case, dates are the dimensions. We want to aggregate things by year, don't we? And a fact is something that you're going to aggregate. So what are we going to aggregate? By year. So in this case, total costs. So what's the total cost to the customer? So how much have they paid us, basically, the sales amount to a customer. So we want that to come back, but we want it to aggregate it by years. So I think we can all agree it would be silly to be using different years. Wouldn't it? You're going, are they different years? They are different years because we're routing the year around the sales date or the order date. Now, sales date and order date, it's entirely correct that they are different. Okay, depending on where you go in a business, different people will talk about different dates. If we go back here, is that these dates are going to be different, and depending on who we talk about, they're different, but it needs to be standardized, which is why we would want to have a single dimension for our calendar rather than having two different ones for it. And this would be true as well if you combined your products information in here, which we've got product. So we could have, if we think about it, we might have another fact table for our returns or another fact table for our servicing, depending on what we're doing, depending on what the business is doing. And you'd want to be able to pull all that information together so that you can appear side by side in a chart. And this is an easy little simple example to kind of get your head around that, in 2017, we sold this much by ship date or this much by order date. Which one do we use? Okay. Once you start to build the business logic and get everything going correctly, this all falls into place really simply. So what do we need to do to get things to come back into a way that we can really leverage it? Because really, it's not too much, is it? So what we want to get to is this. This is kind of the schema that we want to get to, right? So we want to be able to answer questions like this. How much did we sell in January 2016? Which product does Geordie Intelligence buy the most? Our customer, Geordie Intelligence. And who's our top salesperson in 2016? So all of these, I hope you can see, these will all fall in to our dimension. So we might have dates along the bottom, could have staff, top salesperson. Likewise, we could have customer, couldn't we? That make a circle. I need to turn that stuff off, don't I? And all of those, what we're wanting to talk about really is money, isn't it? How much money we made from each of those. So it kind of all becomes kind of starting to become a little bit clear, isn't it? That as you get those pieces built correctly, into your Power BI, into your business, into the way your business works, a good data model will expand and will grow. So we've talked here, haven't we, initially about having like one. But we did mention, didn't we, there could be the idea of having like returns. Servicing. Add any others, R&D, all those. Now, you can see that we're going to have servicing by date, aren't we? We're going to have returns by date. We're going to have returns by product. Which product's good for that? Servicing by product. Customers. Who's returning loads of stock? Who's having to get it serviced lots? Staff, maybe not. You might find that it's a different subset of your staff who are involved in your servicing and who are involved in your returns. But you're starting to get this idea that suddenly from that simple hierarchy, you rapidly move into a multi-fact environment, especially for a business. So how does this all look? What do I need to do to be Power BI to switch it over? Let's have a look. All right, so what I've done here, okay, is I've brought in a calendar. Okay, so we've now see down here at the bottom, we've got calendar, haven't we? We'll zoom in and see we've got calendar. A calendar table. Amazing, right? The most common dimension that you'll have, right? It's amazing that the main dimension that you need in the most models is the only one that's a true dimension. I mean, calendar is a dimension, after all, isn't it? Time, the fourth dimension. So what do we need to do to make all this work? The first thing we've got to do, right, is get rid of the nasty, nasty habit that I really hate. Okay, when I see this in people, it's like, right, we need to stop you doing this. This is job one, which is why we're doing it on day one. The reason why you've got the little drop down here, or the little fly out, is because you've got a date table. Okay, so Power BI, by default, unless you turn this off, will create a date table for every date column that you have, right? And that's to simulate the idea of having a calendar, because you don't have a calendar. Once you start to know what you're doing in Power BI, you need to go, oh, hold on, I'm not better than that, right? I'm going to do it right. So the way we do it right is we go to File, Options and Settings, Options, and go down our main data load. Always you want to make sure you've unticked that, okay? By default, auto time intelligence, auto date time on new files will be ticked. Turn it off. You can see mine, I've turned it off already. For the sake of this, I've turned it on for this demo so you can see it. So we're going to turn it off for this file. So the current file, data load, auto date time, unticked it. Okay, we're going to click Alright. And what you see is suddenly this all goes a bit, okay, because it's suddenly switched. This is now dates that we're looking at. So we can see sales by date. And that just hurts me head to look at it, doesn't it? So what we need to do now is actually start to build or bring in our calendar table and make our calendar table be used. So I've got our calendar table here. We've got all these things. And from there, I can pull in year. Okay, so we'll put year in there, replace ship date. We'll put year in there and replace order date. Okay, and what you'll see is everything's the same. That's not worked for me. And the reason for that is because they're not joined. And it not being joined isn't a problem. So what we have to do is establish a join. So if we come in here into the model view, we can see how do we join these two up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join order date to dates. And this is going to become the primary relationship. And then I'm going to bring order date to ship date. Sorry, not order date to ship date. Dates to ship date as well. And that'll be a secondary relationship. So now if we come through here, we can have a look. We can see, oh, amazing. Straight away, it's worked. Okay. Now everything is joined to that calendar table. So if I say for one of them, I want you to be in years, it's in years. If I come here and I say, I want you to be in years and months, we can do that. We can then expand that down, couldn't we? Okay, so we've got years and months. So we can see how we can start to piece together a calendar and what that needs to look like. Right? Now, you're going to say, hang on, that was different before, yet these are now the same. Okay? So you're not really using order date, are you? And the answer is we're not. We're using ship date. So your relationships will enforce a level of hierarchy. Okay, so this is how you typically will use. So in the case of a calendar, It's important. I really want you to get this because this is really, really, really important. And this comes back so many times. So we'll come back, we'll touch it. And don't forget, don't worry if you forget it. We'll keep coming back. We'll keep covering this off, right? Because it's a common thing. But this is something you have to get your head around really quickly with Power BI. The model that you build defines business rules and business logic. In the case of this model, we have said our primary relationship is to the order date. So based on the way we are, we're saying like for a business, we're most interested in the ordering, the date of the ordering. So from a sales perspective, for example, how many sales do we have, right? So we want to know. Okay. So if somebody comes to us and says, I want to know about what did you ship? We need to do something different. So we'll start with this, right? We'll start with the orders. Okay. So really simply, I'm going to get my keyboard. Okay. This is a dead easy measure to write. So our total sales equals. You ready? Tell you what, let's zoom in on this. So, this is going to be tough. Sum of total cost, isn't it? Okay. Total sales. You can see it's now written that measure there for me. Okay. So in this case, let's pull this over. Still got this first chart on the right select, so let's put it there. Okay, and you should see it comes the same, doesn't it? Okay, so this is now going to replace me total costs. Yeah. So we'll get rid of the like the default aggregation that it's built with the proper measure. So we can see it's the same like for like. Untick that. Okay. Now let's do another new measure, and this is going to be total sales by order date. Well, not order date, by ship date, sorry. By shipped. Okay. And get in the habit of writing measures out. Okay, that's something to get into the habit of doing. You want these to be simple for people to pick and look at and say, this is this one, this is that one. Right? Enterprise data models, it's not uncommon to have hundreds of measures in them, okay? In the hundreds, right? I'm working on one at the moment with a client. There's a couple of hundred, if I'm honest, right? It's not pretty. So we're using everything, all the tricks under the sun. We'll cover them in different days, right? But day one, just know how to do this, right? This time, we're going to do something a little bit different. So we're going to do a calculate, because we need to calculate something. And a calculate, as it says, evaluates an expression in a context modified by the calculate. Okay, so what are we going to do? So in this case, we're going to calculate. Do that. Our total sales. Oh man, the IntelliSense now. There we go. Now we can see. Calculate total sales. Get rid of the IntelliSense, right? And this time, what we need to do is we need to tell it to use a different relationship, don't we? So we're going to use relationship, and it's going to be this IntelliSense is making it difficult here, isn't it? So we want this to be it's the ship date, isn't it? So ship date, total order ship date by calendar dates. Okay. Close brackets. And then we're going to close brackets again. Okay. So we've written quite a simple statement, really, haven't we? Hit enter. And then let's bring that in onto my table. Well, see, it's different. Okay. So suddenly I've been able to put one chart together. Let's hide that. Okay, single chart, but we've got measures running on effectively different time frames, but it allows us to put a single time frame and make that visible. So we're looking at 2017. So in 2017, our sales team sold 330 billion, nearly 331 billion whatever's, right, pennies worth, right, of stuff, right? But our warehouse was able to ship 383 billion in that time. So you can kind of see, right, something's happening. So you balance the books, you do what you need to do, but it's important to understand the context change that's happening here. And writing that measure and understanding two key principles here. Firstly, that we've been able to call a measure in it. So if you write basic measures to start you off with, like our total sales revenue, our total this, right? You've got that. If something changes in your business logic about what a sale is, yeah, so it might be that a sale is only related, or doesn't relate to product X or product Y. So you have some kind of logic that goes in. Okay? All of that can go in to that total sales measure. And it stops it being simple like this. And that's then where you would need to use a calculate. And you would calculate and you would do something to work out what it is. Okay? So you go through and you do, this is what that will be the business logic. And then down the line, your business logic will be honoured by future measures that reference it. Okay. Change once, reuse many times. So what have you reckoned then? Okay. We've kind of covered some really important topics in Power BI development, and we've just kind of like flown through them. Okay. Topic 1 is auto date time is evil. It's like just, right. I understand why it's there, but my goodness me, it causes way more trouble than it's worth. Turn it off as soon as possible. Tip number 2 is understand your calendar and understand how to deal with passive relationships. So that use relationship argument, okay? That use relationship function within a calculate is something you will use time and again. More often than not, it will be against the calendar table, right? Because if you think you've got like order date, ship date, manufacture date, tested date, paid date, invoice date, all these dates that can go through just a sales pipeline. And if you think through anything else, like if you're doing an onboarding process, for example, you're going to have like application date, interview date, second interview date, potentially third interview date, references, cleared date, like IT equipment delivered. You're going to have all those things will be part of it. Okay. Dates are important. With that, just as one little final note for you, dates are important. 9 times out of 10, in fact, it's more like 99 times out of 10 in Power BI terms, or in analysis terms, time is not important. Dates are important, time tends to be less so. How many sales did we make at 9 a.m? It's less important for most of your big analysis. If you're doing small site analysis, then yeah, we want to know what's the ebbs and flows on our retail floor. I get it. But for your typical, how much did we sell last month? I don't really care if it was between 9 and 10 in the morning, or if it was across the day, or if it was in lunchtime or something like that. Yeah? So think that through. If you don't need time, don't bring it through. And what you definitely do not want to do is have a date time field. But we'll cover that tomorrow. So for now, have a great week. Stay safe. Take care. Ta-da.